Welcome back. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the bell so that we get a notification of when you release a new video. I'm sitting today with Michael Porter. Michael, welcome. I see you've remembered Fan Friday.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, well done, and it's good to see the Springboks are actually playing this weekend, the big game in our pool. So that's going to be interesting to watch. But Michael, the big event this week was obviously Jerome Powell from the Fed talking on interest rates. But actually there's been a lot of activity in the central banking space over the last sort of week and a half. Give us some insight into what's happening, please.
Yeah, morning, Robin. As you say, the Fed was the big one because that really is, as we've said before, is the centre of the universe when it comes to money.
Yes.
And unsurprisingly, I think, the US did not raise interest rates on Wednesday night. So they kept them flat. But the central bank, the Fed has a thing called a dot plot, which basically is a series of dots that basically project where interest rates are going to go over the next sort of 6 to 18 months, I suppose. And that dot plot still showed sort of essentially higher for longer. So the message from the Fed was, we're not raising rates now. There's still the chance that there is one more rate hike in the offing in terms of the dot plot. But I think the other message is that rates are going to stay higher for longer. Now, we've been saying this for sort of 4 or 5 months now, that we don't think interest rates are going to fall nearly as quickly as the market thinks they are. Yeah. And I would be very surprised if rates in the US fell before the second half of next year.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and so while the interest rate decision per se wasn't necessarily a surprise, I think that the market is maybe now digesting the fact that, be careful to price in too much good news too early. So the market has been a little bit weak over the last day or two.
The market didn't like that, did it?
No, but I mean, you know, quite honestly, it's been well telegraphed. If the market was surprised, well, then they've only got themselves to blame.
Yes, no, absolutely. Now, there were other central bankers that released, I think Japan came out with probably a bit of a surprising move, and we had the UK, I think, last week. What's happening in those spaces? Yeah,
so the UK came out yesterday actually, Robin, and they actually also didn't raise interest rates, which was a slightly contrarian decision because the UK is in a really tough space where they've got much higher inflation. The inflation hasn't moderated. For those who follow the sort of news in the UK, they're facing another wave of strikes in the next couple of weeks as people strike over wages and things like that. But actually earlier in the week, the UK had very much softer inflation numbers.
Yes.
And that's given the Bank of England room to pause. So they didn't raise interest rates. Very much like the Fed, the rhetoric was, you know, we remain data dependent. We're not saying this is the top of the cycle. We might still hike, but largely, by and large, the market's starting to price in the UK that maybe this is the hike of their interest rates.
Yes.
And then if we move on to us, which was yesterday
that was my next question.
Sorry,
that's all right.
Stealing your thunder there. Our Reserve Bank also didn't raise interest rates, but it was a close decision. It was 3-2 not to raise versus to raise. You know, so it wasn't a slam dunk decision not to raise, and I think it just shows how concerned the Reserve Bank is about interest rates. But they didn't raise interest rates. Again, we also feel that locally that interest rates have peaked. I think the bar is relatively high for another hike, but if the rand stays weak, if the oil prices stay high, there is a chance that we will get one more hike in November, you know. Yeah. But I think really the market's now looking through that also into 2024. 2024 is not very long away, not very far away now, unfortunately. And looking to when the interest rates will start to fall, you know. Yes. So we should be, I think in South Africa, we're going to be looking for our first cut sometime in the second quarter, April, May sort of time, you know. Yes. Providing all things come to pass. Yeah. And maybe just want to make another quick comment. This is slightly off topic, Robin, but you know, we've been saying for 3-4 months now that we think that 2024 is going to be a significantly better year for load shedding. Yeah. You know, and it's quite hard to reconcile load shedding when you go from stage 6 one day to stage 1 the next day. You know, it's quite hard to know sort of what's going on. Yeah. But I find it quite interesting that in the last week there's been a lot of articles in the mainstream press sort of pointing to the fact that 2024 could be a turning point for load shedding, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think it's nice to have our views vindicated, but we've been on this bandwagon for a while. But that would really mark another turning point in this market. You know?
Yes. Yeah. I noticed also, Michael, that in the mainstream press There was an article yesterday that almost reflected Villy's insight presentation word for word. It was almost like someone had sat in that and then they'd written the same thing. So it's nice to know that we might be in this fantastic Natal Midlands, but we're certainly not fast asleep. So Michael, thanks for sharing those views. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and enjoy the game on the weekend. Goodbye.
Bye.